My goal is to spread ism and change the way people live their daily lives so that their daily lives are better. With proper education in ism, any people can leap forward within the space of 10 years if they would only be blessed on a consistent basis. It doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, if you're Aztec, if you're Aboriginal, if you're a racist, if you're not a racist, if you're religious, if you're atheist, you can use this ism today. That's what I'm about. That's what you should be about. So I don't know if they intentionally brought on two preachers who are actually not preachers. And somebody correct me if Brother Anton is an ordained minister, let your boy know. But it appears that you have two preachers who are not preachers that are basically preaching as though we need more preachers. One thing that the United States is not short on are preachers. And, frankly, I think that that's just an old beaten horse. And it's so easy to do that. I was asking myself, if you guys know my story, when I was a teacher in Baltimore, Maryland, I was teaching basically all black kids and like 2 or 3 Latino kids. And there was such an absence of whites in the environment that they used to call the light-skinned kids white. So there's really no diversity at all. It was monolithically black and monolithically poor. And I remember when I would walk to and from school for a variety of reasons, the school I worked at. And I would see drug addicts, I would see women of the night, I would see transformers and various deviant characters, people in the criminal underworld, just every bad thing you would imagine seeing in a ghetto. And I would also see a ton of churches, and it would puzzle me as to how you can have so many churches and so much evil. You got the streetwalkers walking back and forth across the church. You have the drug addicts and the drug dealer making the deal right in front of the church. And I would ask myself, well, why is it that we don't have the preachers and the pastors and the congregation out here trying to put a stop to this? Because I assure you, if Sasson HQ was right there, there's no way I would allow dope peddlers selling in front of my church, actually in front of my headquarters. Absolutely not. I wouldn't want crack vials and needles and Ready Rock all over the place. So the question is, why are they allowing it to happen? Well, I'll tell you why. It's much harder to be proactive and to organize and create a security force as opposed to standing in front of an audience, babble, 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 pass around the collection plate, babble, 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 pass around the collection plate. Oh, you have a problem? I don't have a solution, but I'll pray for you. Pass around the collection plate. It's so easy. And it's also easier than having real ideas to say, oh, God said, in the Bible it says, in the Quran it says, God says. Well, what would Jesus do if Jesus came home one day and his mother was overdosed from heroin and was laid out with a needle in her arm? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if you were going to school in the morning and your mother wasn't awake to make you breakfast and you were starving and your school only serves lunch, not breakfast, and you're in the 6th grade? What would Jesus do? We don't need to hear your Bible explanation on everything. We need practical things. I mean, shout out to the Black Panther Party for self-defense. They were a secular group and unfortunately Maoist, Marxist in their leaning, but they provided meal programs. They provided organized self-defense. They had ideology, although it was really just borrowed from others, but they were practical and helpful. And you see, because they were effective, they actually got murdered by the FBI through the COINTELPRO operation. But the fact is, when you're actually a threat, you get silenced, marginalized, shadow banned, and all that other stuff. If you're just saying the same thing everybody said before, you're basically Martin Luther King 2024, Martin Luther King again. I have a dream that one day, you're God. Martin Luther King was a Baptist preacher. And when you add up what he achieved, it was largely nothing. Marquett, he got the Civil Rights Act passed, and you're still in poverty. As Black Americans, you're still in poverty. Now, compared to Africans, yeah, you're doing well, but you haven't been in Africa. You've been in America for a long time. And compared to Americans, you're doing bad. So, those are just something called the facts, and people hate to hear the truth. They hate to put in the hard work. They hate to be critical. It's so easy to act like, how the ostrich sticks his head in the ground and pretends it's invisible in the face of danger. You have these Bible thumpers stick their head in the Bible and they think that they're covered in the blood of Jesus and God will protect me. Well, I mean, maybe not. God didn't protect people from Hurricane Katrina. Brothers was drowning in it. Huh? God didn't protect people from the Great Depression. God didn't save people's houses with the economic crash in the real estate market circa 2008. You're going to have to get off your butt and do something. Come on, man. And that's not to say God doesn't exist. It's just to say if you have a garden, God gave you the seed and the water. You still got to pour the water on the seed. God gave you the seed, but he didn't pour the water on it. You got to pour the water on, and you have to do it consistently. We don't need to speak of what God says and what God's going to do. Those are basically knowns. Those are the known factors. Those are the constants in the equation. The variables, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? What's the organizing factor? And, all I can do is use these kind of silly debates as a foil to teach, but it's sad to see these repetitive conversations. And the fact is, in terms of reorganizing the relations between man and woman, it's not going to be reorganized based on debates or who won the argument. Because here's the thing, women are unreasonable. They don't operate based on reason, logic, facts. And so the wise men and strong men are going to have to dictate and enforce. Yes, enforce. And frankly, if you've read the Bible correctly, you'll find that in the Bible, the woman is pretty much portrayed as a being that is inclined to make a mess of things. And in as much as that is the case, she will have to be led. And you can believe that the black woman of today, the Western woman of today, the liberal white woman of today, probably a lot worse than Eve was, right? So with that being the case, come on, man, like you're going to have to force the change. It's really Taliban time, if we're being honest out here. You gave them the right to vote. They're not going to give it up. You're going to have to take it back. Come on now. Yeah. And people thinking it can't be done. It can be done. The Taliban, Afghanistan, their country used to be controlled by a superior military force in the form of the great Satan known as the American government. But guess what? They got the American government out of there, and now they're dictating and controlling their own affairs. And us as Americans, true Americans, not as agents of the government or victims of the government, we must step up and take control of our affairs as men. It's outrageous that we should let the government dictate to us, tell us what we should pay the mother of our children. We don't need to pay her a damn thing. There shall be no child support. You live in my household and you abide by my rules, and you and the child shall be supported in the way that I deem, whether the dollar comes out of my pocket or your pocket. I dictate. It was my seed, not the government seed. The government does not own any children, but the government behaves as though it owns you and owns your children. Come on now. One of the reasons that I'm very grounded in creating, cutting edge, bleeding edge cultural solutions is because I'm from a software background, and software is constantly being updated. And truth be told, software and technology has defined a lot of today's culture. Today's dating culture has been impacted by Tinder, for sure. And uniquely, I used Tinder when there was only 4 or 5 swipes. True story. Yeah, I was one of the earliest users of Tinder because my buddy Andy Johnston, rich kid I went to Berkeley with, he put me on it, and our fraternity brothers, like one of them was basically a part of that team. And so we were in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and we're swiping. And this is way back when, if you go on Tinder, it would show you who your common Facebook friends were. So you would see a woman's profile and it'd say you have 3 Facebook friends in common. You swipe and you'd almost invariably match. And it was actually quite useful and effective. This is before bots, before monetization, etc. And it really was addictive, and it was effective too. You heard me? I was doing work. I was a young ball too. And that Tinder, that software technology, has impacted dating culture and human affairs. And as a technologist and software entrepreneur, I know this better than anyone. And I know that technology and updates are required not only to software, but also to our culture. And when you're talking your lessons from your Bible, your Quran, or your Torah, which those are supposed to be timeless works, and some people view them as timeless works, but those are not things that you can apply to all of humankind, which some human beings are atheists, some are religious, and so on. And so when you hear people basically peddling threadbare ideas, philosophies, and religions, you have to say, like, you're just a clone of another guy. You're just a clone of this other preacher, this other guy. And frankly, I'm not hearing anything new from you. And so being that you're not saying anything new, you probably can't solve these new problems. We're dealing with new problems in today's society. These are old answers. New problems, old answers. Not solutions, but responses, I should say, old responses.
The economy messed everybody up. Everybody that thought that they had it, guess what? You got a plan, and then God has a plan. What happened to the character? Why you don't talk about character?
Hold on, and Anton,
why he don't? No, hold on. Why he don't?
Shout out to Anton. No. Hold on. Why he don't, bro? He feeling it.
Talk about character, because what I teach my daughter, I'm a reflection of the man that I would want my daughter to marry. I don't tell my daughter to go and look for a guy to provide for her. I tell my daughter to go and look for a guy that's believing in God.
Okay. All right. Anyways, Miles comes in by PayPal. He writes, "Peace to the saints. I appreciate your daily messages, Mr. Burton. The ism is much needed. Indeed, it is." He says, "In this hedonistic society, these relationship debates on the internet are pointless because they don't move the needle in the scheme of things." That's correct. Anton brought logic to this debate, but the mention of God loses me every time. Me too. Even as one who believes in God, it loses me. They mention God quite a bit in this debate, Mr. Burton. Yeah, and it's comical because you have God instrumentalized by both sides using God as an instrument for opposite purposes. Why are the men of God not on the same page? Lets you know how much of a scam God is in the modern society.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else.
Oh, here we go. Why do we even need to have these debates if it's just Bible verses? We just go to church.
Will be added unto you. You don't have to chase money. You don't have to look to women to provide for them, because if you're naturally that, if you're raised up in the admonition of your father, which is what God has ordained for you to do, you don't have to worry about that. That's naturally in you. And so, yes, absolutely, she should be purposeful, and her purpose at that time could be raising the children, depending on if y'all got children. Her purpose at that time could be out there and bringing in resources because she's learning a new skill that can then translate into the company that y'all build together. It's a lot of new.
I agree with Anton with her contributing. She needs to contribute. And let me bless you all with this piece of knowledge. If we look at the IQ distribution, males have the highest IQs in human societies. So with that being the case, the most likely person to invent or to be very productive in business is the male. To be productive at the high level, especially in terms of creating intellectual property, innovative business products, and business strategy, you need time to think. Not working, not being forced to earn an income provides you that time. So it's ironic that the woman who is least productive in terms of inventing and creating is the one that gets all of the free time. That doesn't quite make sense. So it would make good sense for a woman who does not have children to have a part-time job, because otherwise they don't have much to do. I know this personally. I have a number of women that are around me. They don't have jobs. They will do my cooking and etc. And after they finish making my meals and tidying up and doing the random tasks that I ask them to do, they both basically are sitting around. That's why hey, we need to have multiple wives here. Not even for me, just so you have someone to hang out with, because I'm mostly working. I'm occupied with my businesses. And so it doesn't make sense that the one who's not going to come up with a genius idea has all the time, spare time in the world that they could use for that, but they're not going to come up with a genius idea because most inventors are men. So really, we should utilize the woman in addition to serving the man. And before she has kids, she should have a part-time job. She should add to the income. She should contribute. And when she has children and she has young children, that's something that's going to occupy more of her time. Then she need not work. When the children are going to school, then she should pick up another part-time job, unless you're an entrepreneur and you have enough work to give her. And it shouldn't be core work that would crash your business if she was absent, because women can be emotional. There'll be times that they won't want to work because of their emotions. And you have to allow for that. You don't want your business to falter as a result.
Nuance and a lot of content.
Oh, and by the way, for those of you who would like to know specifically the specific steps of how you integrate your woman into your business, I have a lesson specifically on that in the Book of Dark Truths. It's absolutely brilliant, and it comes from experience, over a decade of experience doing such. So if you have the Book of Dark Truths, review that lesson. If you don't, use a fool. Somebody go ahead and post the link for the Book of Dark Truths.
But I hate it when people pander to women because they leading y'all astray. And it sounds like I'm a harsh father. It sounds like it's a difficult situation. It sounds like you're just supposed to be giving everything. But if that's the case, then why are we as a society, why are we as a people, as Black people in particular, so far behind, and we further behind than we ever been, even though we the freest and we have.
So when he says further behind, it's like, in what regard? I even hear people talk about the Africans being behind. Well, if you're saying in GDP, yeah, in some cases it's true. If you look at Nigeria, you'll see their GDP eclipse that of Italy, Greece, the pigs. Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, you'll see that their GDP eclipsed them in no time. If you look at the integrity of certain African nation states, like, for example, Botswana, for example, I'd say the people of Botswana are probably better quality than the people of Georgia, the European nation. Some might call it Eurasian. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'd say the integrity is greater, which is to say you're not going to get cheated, in your everyday dealings there. So people paint Africa with a broad stroke, and it's often just due to lack of information and experience in the continent or just in the world in general. A lot of people are provincial. So when you say blacks are behind, it's like, on what measure? In fact, with proper education and ism, any people can leap forward within the space of 10 years if they would only be blessed on a consistent basis with good education. There's not that great a difference between, say, the Northern Europeans and like the most downtrodden people in Eastern Europe, Latin America, Africa, or Asia. It's just 10 years of quality education. That's all it is.
Have the opportunity to choose for ourselves. This isn't God. Ain't none of this what he talking about God right now.
Come on, bro. May I acknowledge Mr. Dumas? He writes, Anton is not a preacher, but will leverage the Bible throughout the whole debate, which is why I needed the ism on this. The surgical knife is out. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, man, the ism saves lives.
But when God created man, God gave man a purpose.
God, Jesus, hallelujah.
And what was the purpose?
God.
What was the purpose? He placed that man in a garden. What's this? That's a tree. What's this? Those are clouds.
Are we serious right now?
The black masses are too uneducated, too gullible, too effeminate, and they have been that way for a long time. They have been that way since the enslaver arrived on a ship named Jesus. And it's a true story. There were slave ships named Jesus. Now you pray to somebody named Jesus. Blonde with blue eyes, look just like the dude that took you from your homeland and forced you somewhere else to toil till your dying day, whether it was in the United States, the Caribbean, or Brazil. And you worship the same God that they worship, not realizing that they put themselves in the position of God. You black people are so effeminate and foolish. Nothing wrong with femininity, but as a mass, there's much wrong with femininity. What is effeminate? What do I mean? Loving, welcoming, caring. These foreigners, strangers, show up to your land. You're loving, welcoming, caring, not realizing you need to be masculine, on guard, offensive. Why are you here? Ready to protect and guard. As a mass, you should be masculine. As a mass, you should not be feminine, because sometimes you might suffer R to the A to the P to the E. And that's what happened to us as a people. We were victim, pent down, made you take it. And that's why you're in a weak state to today, traumatized as a people. Come on now.
In all respect to Anton, I think he's a very intelligent gentleman, and I like the way he presents himself. For those of you watching, please do send in your comments, questions, perspective.
The goal ultimately should always be to where you can release her from doing the things that normal women would do that are single, as far as having to provide and protect for themselves. But at the same time,
So one thing I would contend with Anton on, especially as a religious man, if you're really a biblical Christian or even a religious Muslim or Jew, the idea is that the father gives away the daughter, and so she is under the father's roof and then goes under the husband's roof. Never is she under her own roof or her own leadership. And as much as that's the case, she actually doesn't have to work or have to provide for herself really at any point, according to Western Christian ideology, if it's biblically centered.
When a man is able to lead, guide, and protect, when a man's able to walk with the attributes of the Most High God, it doesn't matter if the woman is single or not, because if a man can lead, he can lead. It doesn't matter if the woman has 3 children, 2 children, 1 child, no child. If the man can lead, he can lead. I believe.
Shut your dumb ass up. Good luck, bro. Listen to me, man. This is the only cat I would sock him out while laughing. I just have to sock him out while laughing at him. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. It makes no sense. I don't even have to debunk it. It just sounds stupid. It's not even worth debunking.
That when a man is truly invested into God and into...
Here's the funny thing. These dudes don't agree at all. But they're like, when God is the center, it's like somebody's lying here, because y'all both keep saying God is at the center, but he's leading man to different outcomes. Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Somebody is lying. Often and see, that's the difference between me and these internet people and even some of you is my goal is not to be an intellectual. My goal is not to win debates. I'm a pragmatist. My goal is to spread ism and change the way people live their daily lives so that their daily lives are better. If I could achieve that without anyone thinking I was smart, I would do it. If I could achieve that without winning a debate ever, I would. If I could lose debates and achieve changing people's daily behaviors, I'd be pleased with that. I'm a pragmatist. I'm practical. I don't need people to think I'm smart, or I don't need to outwit someone or embarrass someone intellectually. A lot of you guys, I can tell you're not really business minded because we're about outcomes. We don't need to look good. I don't need the views. I don't need the likes. I need the money. I don't need to win the debates. I need to change lives and improve lives, improve behaviors. So many people are focused on trying to look smart and trying to sound good instead of being good and being great. As men, we need to stop being concerned with the veneer of things. Sometimes you just got to deal with what is real, what is raw. Like, for example, I haven't finished rebuilding my studio. I've relocated my studio to a bigger space. I've not finished rebuilding it. I didn't wait till I rebuilt my studio. I know when people come on to listen to Marquett Devon Burton, they don't come on for a beautiful studio. They don't even come on for my handsome face. They come on to hear real facts that will alter your life for the better today. Not to hear about a pie in the sky or heaven after you die or any of the bullshit. They come on to hear things you can use today, motivation, practical steps, and be in a real community that will support you. And that's what I do. I don't got to get dressed. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to shave my head. I don't have to do any of the BS. I tell you what's real. I'm firmly planted in reality. It doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, if you're Aztec, if you're Aboriginal, if you're a racist, if you're not a racist, if you're religious, if you're atheist, you can use this ism today. That's what I'm about. That's what you should be about. Stop all the BS, all these debates and like, did the blacks build the pyramids? I don't know, man. Maybe my grandma built one. I don't know, bro. But who's going to build your bank account today? Who's going to build your financial future today? Who's going to build your body today? I don't care who built the pyramids yesterday, man. Come on.
I don't think that a woman that don't have children by 40 is a red flag. Right? I just think that, again, I don't think that we're a mom.
If she hasn't had children by 40, she probably needs to start if she wants to have them, but probably shouldn't have them. Maybe join an existing family. 40, nearly dead for a woman. You don't have children by then. I mean, why even try it? It's not even like healthy at that point for you or the kid.
A woman that's over 35 and single, that's it. No, I don't think that that's a red flag at all.
Listen, a woman who's 25 and older and single, major red flag. And listen to me, shout out to Anton, shout out to Yada, but I ran through more broads than both of them put together times 5. You hear me? Add both them balls together, multiply them by 5. I ran through more broads in real life. And this is not to be arrogant. It just is what it is. Like, listen, man, I'm a bitchologist. You heard me? I really know them. And I hate to be vulgar like that, but I'm an expert. I'm an expert at this. And I'm not going to be humble because like this is my area of expertise. I'm Michael Jordan of this. You dig? So listen to me, man. A chick that's 25 and older and she's single and attractive, yeah, got to throw in that part. That's a major red flag. If she's 25 and older and but ugly and single, well then yeah, it makes sense. Come on, man. Let's use some common sense. How about that?
Oh, I mean, if she's single with children, then I think that that's a red flag, because then you have to start adding the context. Well, why do you break up with the person that you was with? Man, how many children do you have? And how many different baby fathers do you have? And
and who wants to get into all that? No one wise. Go plant your seed in fertile soil. And at the end of the day, man, you want fresh water. You want women who have been tampered with the least, women who have the least amount of baggage and scars and miles on them. And go for the best, and you might become a stepdad. You might deal with a chick that's advanced in age. It happens. It's life. But to tell men to pursue that or that is all right is not all right, and you shouldn't pursue that. I'm not saying I ain't dived into some cougar coochie. Yeah, I might have dived into some cougar coochie, man. But I don't recommend it. You did? Come on.
All of that. But a woman that's 35 and single, she could have just been intentional, right? She could have just been focused on, you know, her career or.
Stop it, bro. I'm done here. Stop it. Please stop it. You stop it.
Those who are wise will always be able to see what I'm doing, because if you can't watch 4 of my videos and not see what I'm about. You can't watch 4 of my videos and not see that there's something deeper here. And more importantly, you can't be among the saints and not see that we have something strong and powerful, and it only gets stronger. Saints, it has been truly a pleasure to be here fellowshipping with you. I tell you, I could have done a lot of things tonight, and I'm so happy that I did this and had this time to spend with you. It's been an honor.
I want to educate you and get you guys financially stable and hopefully financially thriving. Those are the many benefits we give exclusive to our members. So THESASN.com, log in, boss up. Ladies and saints, let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction.
Knowing this is true of you, the Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am,
Because I am remarkable.
and I am going to strive every moment
To show the greatest part of who I am.
Until next time.